Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I want to do a deep dive into coaching itself, what it is, how it works, and how it might just change your life. So let's dive in. Welcome back. My name is Ed, and I'm a dating and relationship coach for gay and bi men. And if you're like a lot of people, you might have some preconceptions about what coaching is, but since a lot of people aren't sure, I want to spend this episode clearing that up. So I'll dive into what coaching is and isn't, what it's actually like when we work together, and what you can expect out of the process. So if you're curious to know more, stick around and I'll get those questions answered. So first, let's talk about what coaching is and isn't. In short, relationship coaching is a space where we work together to figure out where you are in your personal life, where you'd like to be, and what you could do to get there. But in practice, gay relationship coaching is also about giving you the support and even the skills we need to build a fulfilling personal life that as queer men, we really don't get growing up. It's about helping you feel confident and secure in yourself, giving you the techniques for building strong relationships no one ever taught you, and just helping you identify what it is you want and need in your relationships in the first place. As your coach, I'm somewhere between the ideal friend who listens without giving advice or judgment, your strategy and accountability buddy, or just the supportive gay uncle we all needed growing up. Because coaching is not about giving advice, it's not about telling you how to live your life or what you should want or need. It's really that rare space as queer men where you can be fully yourself, explore what's going on in your personal life, and then figure out what you could do to get the things you want: a new partner, a deeper relationship with your current partner, or something else. And yes, because it comes up quite a lot, coaching is not therapy, though it does have some things in common. So sometimes people say that therapy is about feelings in the past, while coaching is about actions in the present or future. And there is some truth to that. But also, gay relationship coaching often obviously does mean talking about feelings or your past relationships or your childhood experiences. And the reason for that is pretty simple. Sometimes the most important thing we can talk about in coaching is the practical side, how to approach dating differently or what you could do to move closer to what you want. But often with gay and bi men, the real block isn't strategy. It's not having no idea what to put on an app profile. It's feeling like if you're too much of yourself online, everyone will reject you. Or it's not that someone couldn't stop chasing the quick hookups that just aren't that fun for them anymore. It's that they don't trust that gay men are capable of anything else. So a big part of what I do is to help you gently peel back those layers when needed so you can really understand when there's some subconscious or semi-conscious belief that's driving you there. Not in a clinical or diagnostic way, that's more of a therapy thing, just in an everyday way that will make you think, oh yeah, that belief actually isn't true anymore. And really, this is key for all great coaches who work with gay and bi men. We're not trained in every aspect of human psychology, but we really do understand queer psychology and culture and how our social conditioning as queer men affects our day-to-day lives, often in subtle ways most of us don't realize. That's a big theme on this podcast. But the key difference with therapy is that in coaching, we're not just helping you reframe these things internally, we're also figuring out what you do with that insight, maybe how it changes what you look for in dating, how you communicate and set boundaries better, or just how you show up more confidently in your relationships. That's why coaching often creates more immediate and more practical results. We do the inner work when that's needed, but we're always applying it to your day-to-day life too. And actually, that brings me nicely onto the three core things you'll get from coaching. First, it's about making you feel safe and supported. Second, it's about giving you more insight on your wants, needs, and patterns. And then third, it's about action, what you could do to get more of those wants and needs met. Because queer men don't struggle with dating because we're fundamentally broken. We struggle because we've never had spaces to explore who we are, learn relationship skills, or figure out how to show up authentically in our close relationships. So I see this all the time. Most of us have never had a space where we can openly explore or even just think about these things. And that might sound small, but it's huge because most of us carry all these thoughts or doubts that we never get to say out loud because we rarely get a chance to. And that tends to create shame or just uncertainty that spill over into how we date. So in your sessions, the first thing I do is really give you that space where you can say or feel anything without judgment, without me jumping in with advice or opinions, and without pressure to share more than you want to. And that's really what's at the heart of this. As queer men, we're so used to having our thoughts or feelings invalidated or used against us, that being validated and supported in this way by someone who's trained to do that really does change how we feel about ourselves. It creates a lot of self-trust and self-confidence, and honestly, it helps heal us from all the times we couldn't be honest with others or ourselves in this way. And then once we're at a point where you feel safe and grounded in our work together, which sometimes takes 10 minutes, sometimes a handful of sessions, depending on the person, we can start to go a bit deeper when we need to. We might talk about your past experiences and what, say, your early relationship experiences were like, and even what they taught you about yourself and your place in our community. So this is often when we're exploring some of those unconscious beliefs, the real things that are often driving us and often trying to keep us safe, but in the process stopping us being fully ourselves. And just to say, even when we're thinking about these deeper things, it never feels like an interrogation or like I'm putting you on the spot. Depth is one of my things in coaching, but so is being really warm and down to earth. And I hope at least some of that comes across on this podcast, because yes, I am a trained professional, but I'm also a peer. I'm also part of this community. So even when we're diving a bit deeper, my goal is to make sure it feels like chatting with a trusted friend, and we're just unpacking what's going on for you in a really human and conversational way. And so, yeah, this part of the process really is about curiosity, not judgment or anything like that, even if we do discover something that feels a bit raw or messy. Actually, one thing I'll often do at this point is normalize how common any doubts or patterns that come up usually are. I talk about things like shame and avoidance on this podcast. One of the worst things about us not having spaces where we can talk about these things is that if we notice them showing up in our lives, we often feel extra bad because we assume we're the only ones who are affected by them. But in reality, most of us are affected by them in some ways. That's not our fault, it's just what comes about from growing up in a world where it often is hard to be fully ourselves. And while everyone's specific circumstances are different, of course, at the core, there are maybe half a dozen common patterns here. And though exploring how they might apply to us can bring up some discomfort, it's really freeing and really transformative when we do. I had a client recently, and basically he was going on a lot of first dates, but really second or third dates. And so after chatting a bit, we identified a pattern about him really feeling like he had to prove himself on early dates. And what it meant was he was clicking with people early on, but this intensity was often overwhelming them because it made dates feel like high pressure performances, not a fun opportunity to connect. And once we'd explored a bit of what was going on underneath and how the pattern probably came from his first boyfriend who moved on to someone else not in the best circumstances, it really helped him relax and trust that he could just be his normal, regular self and see who that naturally attracted. And yeah, it means he's been on a handful of second and third dates since we unlocked that. But aside from that, he just enjoys dating a lot more. So it was that I have to be more than I am feeling that often shows up in our community that was just waiting to be uncovered. And this actually is another reason why working with a coach who specifically understands dating and relationships from a gay lens really matters. We get it and we've lived it. So on the one hand, you don't need to waste time explaining what PrEP or a twink is. And on the other, we can just guide you much more effectively through these common patterns that show up in our community. And then third, once you get some deeper insight into what's going on for you, it really opens the door to thinking about what this means or changes in practice. So we figure out what small shifts you could try to move things in the direction you want. So that might mean crafting that more authentic app profile so you actually stand out to the right guys for you. Or it might mean mustering the courage to say hi to someone you like in the bar, knowing that if he's not interested, you'll just shrug it off and move on. Or it might just mean being able to say, this doesn't feel good to me, or confidently walking away from a connection that's not serving you. And yeah, while as a coach, I don't give advice, I often do have plenty of tools or techniques to offer here if they're helpful, just things that have worked for other people in the same situation. But what's really magic about this part of the process is it's where the self-confidence or just flow and ease really start to solidify. And I see this all the time because it's once you start doing these things and seeing the huge difference it makes that you really start to trust that something different is possible. And actually, that's often true even if you don't get what you want right away. I have one client at the moment who's working on setting better boundaries, and it's meant he's filtering people out who aren't reliable or consistent faster than ever. And that might sound like he should be feeling frustrated about that, but he's actually feeling happier and more confident than ever because he's taking control of his life, honoring his needs, and making space for when the right person does come along. So those really are the three things I offer you in your sessions: a space to be yourself, a space to explore your needs and patterns, and a space to figure out how to actually build the kind of relationships you want. As for the structure or shape of the sessions themselves, there are a few things I'll say here. Generally speaking, I don't like to structure the sessions too strictly. So unless you really need it, we won't map out a fixed agenda in 10-minute intervals or anything like that. And unless there's a specific topic we've agreed to focus on beforehand, I'll usually just open by saying, where do you want to start today? Or just what's been going on for you this week. From there, I'm really guided by your needs, either because you tell me, I ask you, or I get a good sense of what it is you need based on whatever we're talking about. So that might mean giving you space to explore how you feel about something, asking some questions that help you go a bit deeper into that, or just doing that practical strategizing together. And then towards the end of the session, we'll start to wrap up. So that might mean making sure you're clear on what your next steps are. It might mean doing a quick recap of the main session takeaways for you, or just deciding what we'll cover next time. So really there's a mix of having some structure, but also being open enough that we can let things flow and respond to the things that need more time or more depth as we need to. It can take people a couple of sessions to really trust this format. And as we get to know each other better, I obviously get better at fine-tuning my approach to you and your needs. But in my experience, this is the format that works best for most people. Then, all of that said, let's talk about what kind of people tend to get a lot out of coaching and exactly what kind of reasons people come to work with me. So yeah, on the most basic level, the coaching I offer is really for gay and bi guys who care about deeper connection, who want more than just sex or quick gratification. The guys who are maybe a bit fed up of navigating dating in our community, or they just feel like something isn't quite clicking for them in their relationships and want to figure out what they could do about it. So I work with a really diverse range of clients, guys from the 20s to the 70s, from all across the world with all kinds of different backgrounds. Some people have done coaching or therapy before, and we build on that, obviously. For others, it's the first time working in this way, and that gives us plenty to work on too. That said, there are some people coaching definitely isn't a good fit for. So really anyone looking for quick shortcuts or expecting someone else to fix things for them, that's obviously not how coaching works. Some people do feel a bit nervous about starting coaching, but it obviously doesn't work either if you're completely resistant to change or outside perspective. Coaching also can't help if you're really struggling with your mental health or anything like that. I do work with some people who are getting support for the mental health, but I can't work on that with you. And obviously I would refer you to therapy or something else if that's what you need most. So why do people come to work with me? Honestly, this list is pretty broad too. There's a fuller breakdown on my website, but there are really 4 main categories here. The first is single guys looking to find the right fit partner. So these are guys who want support finding someone aligned for them. So we look at how they're currently meeting people, how they're filtering potential partners, how they're showing up online or on dates, and whether they're even looking in the right spaces for the kind of relationship they want. And anything that isn't quite working, big or small, or anything perhaps they've not even tried yet, we figure that out and we work out what to do about it. The second category is guys already in a relationship. So sometimes it's a new relationship and they want support building a strong and secure connection from the start. Sometimes they're navigating non-monogamy for the first time or dealing with some kind of relationship conflict or disagreement. Third is guys who are navigating breakups or big relationship transitions. Here it's typically about helping them process, look after themselves while they do, then rebuild and move forward confidently towards whatever's next. Breakups suck and getting support here can really help. And finally, there are guys who want support with their life or relationships more generally. So these are often areas a bit more towards queer life coaching topics. So things like navigating coming out, finding friends and community, or just feeling more grounded and confident as a gay or bi man in general. Some people want support here because building a happier, more grounded life is really attractive to others in dating, but of course they're also really worthwhile things to work on in themselves. And also, just to normalize this, some people don't walk in with a clear goal at all. Sometimes they're just feeling stuck or lonely and aren't sure what to do about it, or they just want to feel more hopeful and confident in life in general. So whatever is underneath that, that's what we'll figure out first, so that then we can work out what they could do about it. So that means to get a lot out of coaching, you absolutely don't need to have every step mapped out. That's what the coaching is for. Wanting more connection, more confidence, or just more ease in your life as a gay or bi man is more than enough for us to dive in. And just in case it needs saying, some guys are unsure about getting support because it can feel like admitting failure or defeat, but that's obviously not true. It's just about recognizing that as gay and bi men, most of us just weren't shown how to build secure and stable love. We didn't have those clear role models or any reliable support. That's why we often learn to survive and not connect. And so, yeah, it does take a leap of faith to trust that change is even possible. But after even a couple of sessions, once people start to settle in, feel more confident about sharing what's on their mind, and actually start seeing the benefits of the shifts they're making, that's when the feedback loop closes and the magic really starts. That's when people really figure out how to connect more deeply and more confidently in this community, which is what the work is really about. Because, yeah, I can't promise you'll find the perfect boyfriend in 7 days. I can't promise you'll magically fix every relationship conflict or worry overnight. Obviously, no coach can. But I can promise that once we're done, you'll feel more grounded and confident in how you approach dating. I can promise that you'll get better at communicating your wants and needs more clearly. I can promise that you'll be able to build a more fulfilling, more connected life wherever you're at. And in the process, you'll also learn all kinds of connection skills that you'll keep for literally the rest of your life. So yeah, coaching isn't about saying to yourself, I suck and I'm broken. It's just about saying, I want things to be better and I'm ready to start making that happen. Thanks, as always, for listening. Whether you're curious about working with me or not, I hope this episode has clarified plenty of things about what coaching is and isn't, and really why I do this work in the first place. And if you do think I'm the right coach for you, the best way to get started is simply with a free discovery call. It's 20 or 30 minutes to chat and get a feel for what working together would be like. There's no pressure and no expectations. If I can't help you, I'll tell you. And if I can, you'll know. People usually do. You can sign up for a call and check out some client case studies and testimonials at bettergaydating.com. Have a great week, and I'll catch you next time.